Uh, I personally used Redux in a lot of projects. I enjoyed working with Redux. It's a really great library. However, there are some negative sides from the Redux. And the first thing is that it requires a lot of boilerplate. Every time for everything that is happening inside your application, you have to create an action. And actions are simple objects that have the type and payloads, and usually you have the type of action creator. And for if you are working with TypeScript, for every action you also have to define the type. And reducers from the other sides are a big piece of switch case code. And there are a lot of boilerplate that sometimes it is so much difficult for a for a just simple action that you need to do all of these things. And this boilerplate gets bigger and bigger when different teams, when different developers work on that, and it consumes our time as a developer, and we cannot work more efficiently if we could generate all of these codes. And this is the first negative side of the Redux. And the second part is that the whole flow that I showed you in the previous video is a sync, and all should be done synchronously. So if a user triggers an action, if a user does something, it triggers an action. That action goes to the state. There is a reducer, and then the reducer updates the state. But in our application that we are building together, when we have this to do, when user creates a new to do, this is an API call, which is an async action. So if we trigger an action when user press the save button, we don't know when the response comes, so we don't know when the list component should be re-rendered. And Redux does not provide a solution for async logic. There are third-party libraries like Redux Tank and Redux Saga that they are providing this kind of solutions, and you can use them in your project. But again, this will also bring that developers need to learn another technology to be able to work with Redux. And this is the second negative point. The third point is that Redux doesn't have any caching, built-in caching mechanism. So if we are triggering an action 3 times, and every time this is the rendering of the list, but the to-dos has not been changed, every time Redux will call the API. So we have 3 times API call even if the data has not been changed. But React Query provides a kind of caching mechanism that we have control over of the data, that if we know, we can have some kind of configuration that in what cases we want the data to be refetched, in what cases we want to get the data from the caching. And data synchronization is also based on, is in Redux, is a developer job. So all of the developer should do it manually. There is no solution that Redux provide that allows us to data synchronization. And the last point that React Query is a better solution for nowadays is the garbage collection. The concept of the garbage collection is like that: if you have an object inside the memory and there is no usage of this anymore, and there is no reference to this will be categorized as a garbage because it consumes the memory, but because there is no reference to it and there is no usage of it, it has been there and it is not useful. And Redux, every data that you will store inside the store will be kept inside the memory, and there is no garbage collection. There is no automatic approach that Redux handles this data. It is again the developer's job. If the developers don't delete this data, this is a manual work that they will stay inside the memory, and it consumes the memory even when it is not required. But on the other side, React Query provides a garbage collection method, so it automatically manages the memory, and it, when there are some things which is not required anymore, it deletes them and removes them from a memory, and it provides a better memory management solution.